All right, so flat plane fool with another daily commute. Just wanted to talk a little bit about drag week and things along that line. This is my favorite week of the year. Unfortunately, I've been so busy at work that I haven't been able to enjoy it. I'm gonna go home and probably catch up on days 3, 4, and 5 of drag week over the weekend. This is like my favorite event, though. This is what I drive a GT350, and I know that's more of the other kind of track kind of car, but I drive this because it makes a great daily driver, and your stereotypical drag car won't. Now, at some point in time on this channel, you may see me build a drag car, and it probably won't have a flat plane crank in it, mostly because it'll probably be a big block of some sort. Maybe one of those Hurricane engines coming out of the new big Ford trucks. But anyway, if you have never been if you haven't been exposed to drag week before, basically they go to 4 tracks, the first one twice. You take your trailer or whatever your tow rig is, or if you're a super baller, you just drive your vehicle straight to the first track, and then you have to drive it to every track thereafter. 4 tracks in total. You go track 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back to 1 on the 5th day. Usually you travel somewhere between like 1 and 3,000 miles along the whole total along the trip. And there are people like Tom Bailey and Magnus Frost bringing cars that run low 6-second quarter miles, maybe even down into the 5s, given the right weather and track conditions. It just blows my mind. And those guys have awesome cars and lots of funding to do it. But then there's tons of cars out there running 8, 7-second quarter miles, just built in somebody's garage, slapped together, LS motor, big turbo, thrown into an old body with very little frame or chassis modifications other than what's required to make them legal at the track. It's really an amazing event to me. It's really always been inspiring. I'm missing that Nick Pluniak and the Dirty 30 wasn't there this year. But it's still just a bunch of awesome guys driving a bunch of awesome cars, and putting their money where their mouth is. You don't think my car is a street car? Here, let me drive it 1,000 miles. You don't think my car can cut a time at the strip? Here's an 8-second pass for you. It's just, like I said, every one of the people that are out there, and I say guys, but there are a bunch of ladies that are doing it and doing it just as well, if not better, than the guys out there. So it's just awesome. It's an amazing event, and I want to build a car specifically for that event at some reason, or at some point in time or another. If I have a 61 Galaxy. If I ever get it back from the body shop that has it, that'll probably be the car that I build, even though she's a big old floaty boat. It'd still be a fun car to build for that. I could take 4 with me down the track. It would just be really cool to have a 4-seater, a comfortable 4-seater that can do that whole thing, and it'd tow a trailer just fine. I don't know, I think it would be a really cool car to do it with, even though it's probably a little heavier than everybody else has. But I say that, but there have been some 7-second Monte Carlos out there before, and a couple of guys, John Ferrone being one of them, tickling 6s in a 4,300 pound car with air conditioning. So it just all depends on your perspective. So anyway, it's one of those things that I'd love to do someday. maybe it can be well, it's gonna be my wife and I that end up doing it. We may end up with a bunch more people there, but maybe someday we each take a car. Maybe we slap a supercharger on the Mustang and this thing will start running 8s, and then have a big block 61 Galaxy with a couple of turbos on it also running 8s, and have a couple of stick shift drag cars and see who can make it, or maybe use the Galaxy for the tow rig for the Mustang. But anyway, it's always been one of those things that I just have always wanted to do, and again, it's my favorite week of the year. Unfortunately, this week, even though they're close enough, they're about 2 hours from my house right now, but it's been raining on and off all day. Been a lot of drama at my actual job, so I haven't had the chance to do what I want to do. But c'est la vie. Sometimes you gotta suck it up and do some stuff you don't want to do in life. But hopefully it pays off. Hopefully I get to get my car back from the body shop, whether painted or not. At this point, it's been there for 4 years. So like I said, whether painted or not, I don't care. A lot of my parts are already missing. I just want it back so I can finish. I got a pretty solid shell of a 61 Galaxy. I like the car because I like cars with wings on the back of them, and I'm just kind of stoked to be to start working on something to be a part of this event. And I'm pretty excited about that 7.3 Hurricane big block that or Godzilla big block that Ford's coming out with. The Hurricane was the engine that ended up being called the Boss because Katrina hit during the development of it, so they changed the name of the engine. But anyway, I'm gonna do drag week at some point in my life. It may be with a total piece of junk car. It may be with this car with a supercharger on it. It may be with this car with another power adder on it. I really do like turbos because they don't sacrifice much drivability to make a whole bunch of power, which is why most of the people at this event are running a whole bunch of turbo cars. But really, what I would like to do is I would like to get that new Ford big block, start working on how to set it up with a standalone, hopefully maybe be one of the first people to develop a harness for the car, or for that engine to be used with a standalone, maybe something like a Holley EFI, since it's really not that different of an engine from an LS motor. Just, I mean, worst case scenario is it'd have a different reluctor wheel on it, but other than that, it's a coil on plug V8 fuel injected with variable cam timing, which I'd love to delete. So yeah, seems like it would be a fun engine to drop in an old car. And I'd do a Coyote too. I like Coyote engines. If that engine doesn't end up being anything interesting, that's fine. Just that, Coyotes have that little bit of labor intensiveness once you go into the 1,000 horsepower mark, and if I'm going to try to run 8s or faster, I'm going to need to be in that 1,000 horsepower area. So most of the Coyote blocks require sleeving once you hit 1,000 horsepower, and even some of them require sleeving and a couple of basically like piston support blocks wedged into the block to make sure that there isn't any movement at the deck of the engine, because it's almost an open deck motor. It may be considered an open deck motor with as big as the water jacket is on it. But the Voodoo actually has a little bit more support than the normal Coyote does, and my understanding is the new Predator block is even better supported. So that may be the way to do it. I want to do a stick shift drag car. I kind of want to see if I can get some sort of stick shift record at some point in time, but And the Coyote is a really good engine to do that with because it revs so high you can keep the torque low on the transmission and still make tons of power. So that's kind of the game plan. It's really all I wanted to talk about today is sort of things I want to do. I did drive one a GT350 with a supercharger on it, and this thing will either get a Whipple or a couple of turbos at some point in its life. My wife told me the other day, which before we got this car, she told me that Mustangs were for rednecks and, you know, we will never have a Mustang. And then I got her to test drive one of these and she liked it. Now that we own the car, her and I both fight back and forth as to who gets to drive it today. So I think our next car is probably going to be another Mustang, and so we'll have 2 Mustangs, hopefully a 61 Galaxy, 57 Thunderbird, 2013 Wrangler Rubicon, and I got a truck right now that at some point in time I'd like to trade out for a ramp truck, so that I could have something to yank vehicles around with and do that thing. So anyway, that's what I got. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will talk to you later.